And we are now live on YouTube.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, December 10th, 2020, and this is the weekly Police Accountability Board meeting. So we are going to go ahead and jump right into it since we have the majority of us here tonight. I did want to go ahead and make sure that all of our board members have looked at the agenda and also looked at our last minutes from the previous meeting.
Let me pull those meeting minutes up. 1 second. Okay, these are the minutes from the 12/3 meeting. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm going to just note that that is incorrect, and so I'm just going to change it. Now with that change, they are accurate.
Okay, so what do we have quorum? We do, right? Let me see, I can't see.
Yep, you've got 5.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Oh, hello, everyone.
I can second if no one's second.
Thank you. So all in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. And we have, okay. None opposed. Anybody opposed? No abstentions. There we go. Minutes approved. And now we're going to jump into the next item, which is upcoming board meetings, the board retreat next week and upcoming Thursdays, and discussing New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. So we do, Rabbi Settle, I apologize. Could you please go ahead and discuss the upcoming retreat, please?
Okay, so the committee consists of Dr. McIntosh, Board Member Perez, and myself, and we are still sort of discussing part of the content, but it's going to be a 3-hour session with time for some ability for us to get to know each other better, because we haven't been able to meet in person, and then go over the part of the rule book that has been proposed, and also expectations of each other on the board. I think that's, Dr. McIntosh, would you say that's a fair summary?
Yes, board member Rabbi Settle.
Okay.
Okay, so I think one of the things that we were asking is that people, as soon as they can, please answer Rabbi Settle's email regarding the times that we can meet on that day, so that we can get that scheduled in the works. So you should have that email. That email was sent a little earlier today.
Just today, yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Also, yeah.
All right, and then upcoming Thursdays, New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. So I know that we're thinking, do people want to meet on New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve? I doubt people want to meet on Christmas Eve, because you want to spend time with your, if you celebrate Christmas or your holiday season, that you'd like to spend time with your family. So, I'm thinking that we should get rid of that meeting. But New Year's Eve is, I know people won't be partying at home until probably later on that evening. So I just wanted to leave that out there. Maybe if people want to do working groups, that might be helpful.
Because I was going to say, I certainly don't think we should do anything that involve the staff having to be here with us.
Of course, absolutely. So if there's working groups that we would like to do on that day, then we can just discuss that offline. Reverend Harvey.
The only alternative is that, if people want to meet on the Wednesday before, it's up to folks. I know a lot of people wouldn't be able to make a Wednesday, but
Reverend, you're muted. You're muted? Nope, still muted, bud.
we still can't hear you, Rev, for whatever reason.
Try signing in and signing back out and see if that works. Okay, so we'll wait for him to respond. But
I'm okay with I'd be open to the Wednesday before.
Okay, and I wonder, do people have New Year's Eve services online? Probably New Year's Eve, right? I know that that's a thing.
New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I mean, that's a
We do
church
Christmas Eve for
tradition.
sure, but not New Year's Eve.
Okay. I know some folks might have that. I wonder if that's what the Reverend is maybe expressing, but we'll find out when he gets back. So,
That's really a black thing, isn't it?
yes, it is. So,
That's why Matt doesn't know.
no,
No,
he
I've
didn't.
I've invited before. I just have said no, thank you.
No, it's that we're open. We usually will stay till midnight. So that's our New Year's Eve service. So
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That
So
sounds
could we take this to an email? And
Yeah.
maybe we can see if everyone can kind of check their schedules at a given time to look at things and see if the 30th would work. And we're thinking about the same time, 6:30 to 8 roughly, or,
Yes. At least we'll put that in the email.
okay.
I will send the email around and get that figured out.
Okay. Let's see, next agenda item. So executive director's report. We're going to report on the contract, rules committee work, executive order work, and independent council candidates.
So I think that we're going to save the independent council candidates for an executive session near the end because we don't want to talk about those people publicly before we necessarily hire them. But I will talk about everything else first. Give me 1 second here to pull up the agenda. So the police union contract, I just want to update, say that, after, there was a meeting earlier this week between the leadership of the, hey, Reverend Harvey. I just want to make sure, Reverend Harvey, can we hear you?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent.
But while you left, we were just saying that we're going to send an email around to figure out if people can meet on the Wednesday before New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. And so we'll discuss that offline, if that makes sense. Okay, so we had a meeting with President Scott, Councilmember Gruber, and Councilmember Lightfoot, Vice Chair McIntosh, Chair Wilson, and I. We talked about a number of things. One of them was the union contract, and Councilmember Gruber is looking to get input from us maybe by the middle of January for some first thoughts about the contract. Councilmember Gruber has offered to follow up and meet with either me alone or any and all board members who would like to talk to him about the union contract. I said I'd put it up to the board. My intuition is that folks would like to, whoever would be available would like to meet with Councilmember Gruber. And if that's the case, I can try and get something on the calendar with folks, if that makes sense. So I will do that just so folks will have a chance to talk to a council member and see what's going on and what their apparent priorities are and what some of our interests may be as well. I just want to say that we repeated in that meeting that a top priority is to make sure that the negotiations are as transparent and open as possible, as they should be. So that's that part of that meeting update I want to talk about. We held our a working session during, well, not a working session. I met with a few board members to just review and go over the potential operating rules. And we're going to be speaking about those, the process for making rules, not the actual rules themselves, but kind of the way that we could create rules. I'm going to discuss some of that during our board retreat, just a kind of an educational session to kind of inform folks on how other boards do, their rules, how we could do ours, that kind of stuff. With regards to the executive order work, this is what I really want folks to know about. So, the mayor, again, is hoping to have our draft answers or our initial set of our answers in by this coming Monday. We have circulated a couple of drafts about, a lot of people have gotten me input. Some people just got me input today. And so I need to just put those last pieces of input in to the document. And then I will circulate the most final draft out tonight, or maybe at latest tomorrow morning. We have not made a ton of substantial changes since the last draft. With a couple exceptions. The thing I really want to talk most about tonight is the process for getting those answers in. the mayor, made very clear that, it is up to all respective members who are on the working group to, deal with the questions and answers, is completely up to us. At the last meeting, not this past Monday, but the last Monday when the working group got together, I informed everyone at the working group that the board may consider releasing its answers and recommendations to the public. And, I think that we should figure out tonight if and when we're going to do that, considering that our initial draft of the answers is going to go into the mayor on Monday. My initial thought was to have the answers, the one thing that I have done is kind of revise the answers to make clear that, this is kind of a first draft, that we have, we based our answers based on public information, initial preferences and thoughts from the board, as well as those community testimonials. But the next step has to be speaking with the community, and that potentially, sending these answers to the working group and saying, these are just our first thoughts. We want feedback. We want your intuitions on this. We want to know if there's anything incorrect or you think is wrong. Doing a similar thing with the public, saying, these are our answers on this. This is a first draft, where recommendations, answers, we want your feedback. And so, if we wanted to, we could send the answers in to the mayor and the working group on Monday, and then send them out to, post them online, send them out to the public, and then have people, email in comments. They could call into our general line for comments and leave voicemails. And, in any language, we could have those translated. And then we could even have a web form on the website that allows people to send in comments to us. And then, we could give people a deadline of, sometime in, beginning of January to kind of get things back to us. And that would allow us to, get out our answers to the working group while allowing the public to start thinking about these things too. The working group is, as I understand it, the mayor's hoping to start that public feedback process as well in January and February. So this would just kind of allow folks to get a head start on things. And at the same time, show the community that we're ready and willing to start listening to the more people than just the ones that we solicited answers from specifically for the community testimonials. Now that's just one option. The other, there are other options, just submitting the answers, straightforward to the working group and just waiting for a plan to come together and then having the community give input at that point. But, it's kind of, this is a big strategic decision up to the board about, whether and when to make our answers public, because the people know that we are submitting answers. So.
I guess from my thoughts, I think I will choose the latter in terms of if you're saying, we're going to have to make changes anyway, I would err on the side of caution in terms of, putting something out there that can be interpreted the wrong way or that we need to, for me, I would say that maybe initially it should go to the mayor and the working group, and they should review. And if there's changes to be made before sending it out to the public, then those changes should be made first. But that would be my take on it. I'm not sure what the group thinks.
It kind of crosses my mind that this is work that's being done for the mayor. While it's important and relevant to our mission, it's a bit askew from our actual mission. And I would just urge you to guard your time, to not find yourself immersed in this project to the detriment of other projects.
So I guess actually we're doing it for the governor. And because a big piece of our mandate is to review policy and procedure and sort of think about policing in that sense more generally. I think this very much is part of, I mean, it's not the task we may have chosen to do before other things, but it now is what has to be done. I guess my one concern, Dr. McIntosh, about waiting is that I feel like something that is essential to who we are as a group is our commitment to transparency. And I know that there's a concern about wanting all of these discussions to be public in some way, and wanting to what happens at that table. I mean, ideally, to me, every group will put out its responses, right? Everybody at that table will put out their responses, because I also think that before the group itself says, well, here's how we put them together, the community should have a say about how they even want that to happen. So in fact, I would argue that we should not only release ours, but should ask everybody else to release theirs.
And I would ask Director Connor, what is your wish or your pleasure for this board as relates to us moving forward in this request?
Well, my wish is I want to make sure that the board is doing the right thing. And so that's why I kind of come to the board I'm putting the decision on the board for this one. I think that there's letting the community know. I think I've heard from a lot of people in the community who, don't know the details of this process, don't know what's going on, want to know if the board's going to be submitting its answers, so that's something I'm very aware of. The other thing that I'm aware of is that, there's a, process here. The more engagement that we do on this work is going to take up more of our time, as Bob was saying too. And so I guess my wish is that there is some correct sequence, as kind of Dr. McIntosh was talking about. I think that's definitely important, the sequencing of it, to make sure that, the answers are being submitted and that the public, comes in at the right time. I'm genuinely unsure, Dr. Harvey, about, what the right thing to do necessarily is.
So just to clarify, so to Rabbi Settle's point, I guess I guess my other concern would be if we're going to submit these on Monday, has everyone looked at them? Have you gotten all the feedback you need? Or maybe it would be beneficial to take a little bit more time this coming week, to make sure we are all on the same page before we submit those out. Versus, I'm fine either way, depending on what the board decides. But like I said, just making sure that we're all on the same page about the recommendations.
Yeah. So the only thing I'll say is that I was hoping to use, starting in the next 7-10 minutes, just run through the top things that are going to come out of our draft answers for folks. I've gotten feedback from most people, but definitely making sure that folks are all on the same page is very important to me too. But the only thing I would say on that point, Dr. McIntosh, is, it is, the request from the mayor is, I believe, next week. The hope is, really to have things in next week. So I suppose if we could say, the only trouble is that the 17th, we can't vote on anything because we have a retreat. So that's the one lock, is that we've got a little bit of a time constraint. So.
Okay, I get that, but then, I think Rabbi Settle had also made the point in the past that if we needed to do a little business for like 20 minutes or a half an hour in the beginning or something, then we could do that. Would that be an option?
To be honest, that was not a point I made about the retreat. That was a
Right.
point I made about educational sessions. And
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Could we take it at worst case scenario? Could there be 20 minutes out of that time if we cannot make a decision tonight about this that we can use? Yeah, it's just specifically about the time.
I don't know. Okay.
but I'll let the rest of the group weigh in.
I'm okay with listening to what we have tonight. Connor said 7 or 8 minutes or 10 minutes. I'm okay with listening tonight and seeing if we can, come to a consensus or make some type of decision.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention is that I think we only have 4 board members now on the call. I hope Dr. Harrison will come back. I know Ida is out for the night. Shani is out for the night. I haven't heard back from Danielle. So the only trouble is just I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and if not, everyone hears the information. But regardless, maybe because we don't have enough board members right now, maybe the thing to do is to do an informational session, and then say at the beginning of the retreat, we just because we have a scheduled public meeting for next week, so we can just open that meeting and just say we're voting on this, and then close it and go do the retreat.
I actually might be on a flight. Are we talking the 17th?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'll see, but I actually might be on a flight. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Is this a good time for me I just want to ask for an update, in as much as we're short tonight, on the new board member?
we can't publicly say who it is until city council formally votes on them on the 12th.
Okay, well, that I guess that's an update for what
Yeah.
that
And
is an update. Okay,
And there's some documents sent to our city emails as well.
okay.
So
That
I would
was
just
good.
defer
good.
to that until we have the
Okay.
option to.
That was good.
In the informational session, by the way, in the informational session, I can talk about that because we're going to go offline for the informational session. So I'll talk about that then. So I think with that's kind of the end of my report. And, again, just because I'm updating people on the independent counsel situation, I think that we can talk about that in the informational session because we aren't going to be deliberating or making any decisions on that. Does that sound right, Stephanie?
To the extent that that's considered business of the board, I would just urge caution.
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose we could go into executive session to talk about it now, I guess, just to make sure. Okay.
Okay, so I guess I just need a motion on the floor.
So you know what now? Well, the only thing I'll say is that I think that the rule to go to an executive session is you need a majority of the full board, and we don't have that. So what I think we will do tonight is we will just do the informational session about the answers, and we'll go from there. And with that, I think that's all we kind of needed to do tonight. Yeah. Oh, I guess, the only thing I'll say, and I think I watched Reverend's face, so I just want to clarify about the governing rules, is that we're going to be talking about, those rules in depth next week at the retreat. So there we go. And I can't end the meeting or anything, so I'll leave that to the actual board member.
Yep, so I'll just need a motion.
I so moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, I have to check my screen here. Okay, what about you? Rabbi Settle?
Sorry, excuse me.
Okay. All right, anybody opposed? Okay, any abstentions? All right, motion carried.
Okay.
We are adjourning the meeting.